The gentleman from Giles, Mr. Yost.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
The gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, members of the House, today is George Washington's birthday. As many we recognize, we're all going after House session to go buy new appliances, new cars, and everything else that's on sale today. But aside all that, President Washington was a great man. He was also a farmer of industrial hemp, in case anybody didn't know. But he also accomplished many great things. Not least among his accomplishments was being elected to the House of Delegates at the young age of just 26. I, however, had the privilege of being elected at 25, so I was pleased to up the general and Mr. President by 1 year. As we reflect on the great men and women who have built our Commonwealth, George Washington chief among them, I think it's also important that we look to the next generation. Over the weekend, when I was reading the Richmond Times-Dispatch, an op-ed caught my eye. A headline saying, "Millennial Republicans push past stereotypes." And if I can, I would like to read you two excerpts. And I quote, "Like many other groups, millennials and Republicans both suffer from stereotypes. Millennials are thought of as immature, entitled, and unmotivated. Republicans are considered old, out of touch, and not inclusive. It's time to push past the stereotypes. Secondly, millennials, quote, aren't just the leaders of tomorrow. We are the leaders who are ready for a serious conversation about the future of our state." And this op-ed was written by a pair of young Republicans, people who I consider my peers, known as millennials. Millennials are the largest population in the country. They make up 1/3 of the U.S. population. They're the most diverse and most educated generation in the history of our nation. And I agree, it's time to have a serious discussion about the future of our state. And you cannot have that conversation unless you involve us, the young people of the future. Before you can have a serious conversation, though, you have to know what matters to me and people of my age. First, like most Virginians, we're worried about jobs, the economy, and long-term economic growth. The unemployment rate among college graduates is close to 8%. Since the Great Recession over the last 4 years, we have experienced the highest sustained youth unemployment since World War II. 1/3 of our age group have moved back in with their parents. Second, we're also concerned about student debt and the rising cost of higher education. I myself was lucky when I graduated from Radford. I did not have a whole lot of student debt, but that's because I worked 3 jobs during my graduate work. But today, Virginia students are borrowing over $1 billion per year, and nationally, student debt is over $1 trillion. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, the changing world of technology and the privacy concerns that come with it are a huge concern to our age group. Millennials are the first generation to grow up with the internet their entire adult lives. We all have email, Facebook, Twitter. We used to have MySpace, and now we still have cell phones. Our lives are online. But we still deserve privacy, and we're concerned about the role of the federal government and how it can easily reach in our everyday lives. But I think this session we've made some progress on all 3 of those issues. Jobs and unemployment, student debt, privacy, and technology. These are the issues that matter to us. The House of Delegates has made considerable progress on these fronts this year. We are working to promote innovation and entrepreneurship through bills like Scott Taylor's crowdfunding legislation that will help small businesses get the funding they need to grow, or like Delegate Rust's bill to license Uber and Lyft, a signal of how Virginia can welcome innovative new companies to the Commonwealth. We are working to make college more affordable through Delegate Cox's legislation that caps student athletic fees to hold down costs, and through my good buddy's bill, Delegate Rush, creating flat fee degrees in high-demand fields so students can get degrees that lead to real jobs. And lastly, we are working to strengthen privacy protections in an ever-changing world. Through Delegate Peace's bill to protect your social media passwords from your employers, your boss doesn't need to know your Facebook password. Through Delegate Anderson's bill to limit the amount of data that can be collected from license plates. Because at the end of the day, the government doesn't need to know that I'm going to Taco Bell at 12 midnight. This is a good start, and I'm proud of the steps the House has taken on these issues that matter to my peers and to the next generation. And I look forward to having a serious conversation about the future of your state. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.